Well, let's go live now to Queen's Park, where Ontario's housing minister is introducing legislation to ensure the province is ready to build more homes.
Last year, housing starts in Ontario surpassed 96,000. It's the second highest amounts of starts since 1988. We also saw a record in purpose-built rental construction last year, the highest ever, 15,000 rental starts. Yet, even so, we know that more progress and more action is required for our housing goals, particularly in the face of economic uncertainty, inflation, and soaring interest rates. And I want to make things absolutely clear. Our goal remains to the one that I've committed to last summer, to get 1.5 million homes built by 2031. That's why, while we understand that it will take time for the impact of the changes we have made to date to be fully felt, our government will continue to move forward with additional proposals to build the type of homes that Ontarians need. To support that goal, and just moments ago, I introduced legislation that supports our Helping Homebuyers Protecting Tenants plan. Our series of measures, the latest to support renters, strengthen homebuyer protections, reduce the cost of building a new home, and streamline rules around land use planning. As part of the plan, we have more than doubled the amount of full-time adjudicators at the Landlord and Tenant Board, with an amazing $6.5 million investment that will improve service standards, reduce active applications and decision timeframes. This is great news for both landlords and tenants. To make it easier for renters, we're introducing changes that would, if they're passed, give tenants the right to install air conditioning units subject to certain rules. We're also proposing to further strengthen protections against no-fault evictions, such as those due to renovations, demolitions, and conversions, as well as evictions for landlord's own use. Finally, we're proposing to double maximum fines for offences under the Residential Tenancies Act to make them the highest in Canada. Of course, our government remains committed to helping those who want to buy a new home, whether it's young families looking to raise or grow their family, or for those that are new to Ontario who want to come to our wonderful province to put down roots. We're doing this by better protecting consumers and their financial investments through expanding deposit insurance for credit union members, saving for the purchase of their new home. We are also exploring implementing a cooling-off period on purchases of newly built freehold homes. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Finance will explore tools to provide support to municipalities with ongoing assessment-based management. But we're not stopping here. We're also proposing to freeze 74 different fees at current levels, including several related to Tribunals Ontario and the Building Code that's charged by ministries and provincial agencies that affect the cost of housing. And we've launched a 60-day consultation on our government's proposed plan for land use planning, combining the provincial policy statement and a place to grow, the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Our intent is that the proposed new housing focus land use planning policy statement will apply to the entire province. It would give municipalities more flexibility, reduce duplication, create more homes in urban and rural communities, support local economies, and create jobs while continuing to protect public safety and the environment. So in conclusion, the policies contained in the legislation I introduced a few minutes ago are forward-thinking and, if passed, will provide significant support to ordinary Ontarians. My sincere hope is that all members of Ontario's Legislative Assembly will look at the measures that we're proposing here today, including major new protections for renters, and realize that these policies that are all parties should be supporting. Our proposed initiatives build on the work that we've done over the past few years with our housing supply action plans, and with the support of our municipal partners, we will continue to create the homes Ontarians need. So I want to thank you all for being here. My cabinet colleagues and I are pleased to answer any questions that you have.
Mr. Clark, can you clarify a bit about the policy about boundary expansions? That it's going to be easier for municipalities to do this. You have already made it clear that you wanted a number of municipalities to do more than they were willing to do, and you were very clear about that. But it seems to contradict some of the other policies that your government's put forward, such as densifying inside cities and around transit. So you've got these two different things happening at the same time. Why are you allowing more of these boundary expansions? We've already had so many that critics say will result in farmland being turned into suburban sprawl housing.
Yeah, we want to continue to build housing. Part of our policies today takes that all of Ontario approach, right? The consultation that I just talked about, right? You've got two documents, right? The provincial policy statement, which is province-wide, and a place to grow, which is Greater Golden Horseshoe centric, right? We believe as a government that all of Ontario is a place to grow, no matter whether you live in the north, you live in Eastern Ontario or Southwestern Ontario, or in the Greater Golden Horseshoe. That's why we're consulting on those matters. And we believe all of our municipal partners need to look at all of the measures that they have at their disposal, both inside their urban boundary and outside as well. So we look forward to the consultation. We look forward to all of our municipal stakeholders' comments and other stakeholders. But a place to grow should be all of Ontario.
There's another piece that I wanted to ask about, which from our summary that we got today, which is sort of a high-level summary, we haven't seen all the details in there. It does mention about increasing density on greenfields. Your government actually lowered the density requirements in greenfields, and it's a couple of years ago now, in the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Can you explain that? Is that density in the Greater Golden Horseshoe you're asking to be increased, or is that a function of putting those plans together and saying to municipalities outside, you've got to have some density on greenfields too?
Well, I look forward to municipal colleagues weighing in. I know a number of them have told me that they're very interested in some of their existing communities along GO stations where there is lower density, and many of them believe that density should be increased. So, as part of taking the two planning policy documents and having one central one for all of Ontario, it'll allow those individual mayors who have been concerned about growth policies, that they want to see more intensification around transit, they want to have people living and working closer to transit, it'll let them weigh in on those policies. But I've been encouraging them to keep their powder dry, and I think after the posting begins, we'll hear a wide variety of comments. But intensification around transit is something that the government is committed to.
Putting that back up, those density.
Well, I'm open to hearing from our partners.
Minister, one of the recommendations from your housing task force was increased density in already built up suburban areas where there's just single family homes. Why is there nothing in here to compel municipalities to increase density in neighborhoods of single family homes?
Well, I'll take you back to the original Housing Supply Action Plan, More Homes, More Choice, in 2019. We allowed, during that plan, municipalities to provide, a basement apartment and a laneway suite or a garden suite, and 2 years later, there wasn't much progress, right? So the next bill that we had in 2021, we raised that, or sorry, 2022, we started taking the Housing Affordability Task Force report. That's when we added, 3 units as of right. We have to move at the speed of our partners. We have to make sure that municipalities are with us, and we haven't seen the implementation as fast as we would like. So that's part of our conversation today. The Housing Affordability Task Force still is our government's long-term roadmap. It's the plan that we want over the long term. But as I said, we are not backing down on our 1.5 million homes by 2031, but we also want to move at a speed that the partners can deal with. So that's.
Is anything in here, or can we get a fresh commitment from you that there will be no more carve-outs of the Greenbelt?
Well, the policies that we're presenting for comment today, all existing Greenbelt protections are maintained. There's no changes proposed in any of the documents that we're presenting for Ontarians' comment. So they can rest assured that none of those recommendations are there.
But that doesn't rule out future carve-outs of the Greenbelt.
Mike, there's nothing in anything we're announcing today in this bill or in our consultation that should cause a concern for Ontarians.
Minister, growth means something different for a city like Hamilton versus a city like Thunder Bay. The populations are different, the geographic is different, the industry is different. What do you say to critics who are concerned that creating this one policy document means that the province is painting every municipality with the same brush?
Well, I've been in Thunder Bay, and we've got my former parliamentary assistant, Kevin Holland, took me around, and I met a lot of people in Thunder Bay, and they want to have growth and growth opportunities in housing. You know, we're going to be having the NOMA conference up north in Thunder Bay later this month, and housing will be a hot topic. Every municipal conference we have, every affiliate, whether you're ROMA for rural delegates, whether you're OSAM for small urban, whether you have NOMA or FRNOM in the north, everyone believes that there should be a provincial policy that promotes growth in their areas. They all want housing. They all just ran for election last fall. I contend that every council that was elected used housing as one of their major platforms when they were elected. This gives them a great opportunity to talk about growth policies because, as I said just a few minutes ago, I believe that a place to grow is all of Ontario, no matter whether you live in the Greater Golden Horseshoe or not.
This is also the third major system-wide change that you've proposed to municipalities in the span of a year. They're still scrambling to catch up with the old ones. Why not wait for those to take effect, see the impact of them before changing more?
Simply because we're in a housing supply crisis. We simply don't have enough supply.
Anyway, we've got 3 studies that say that there's enough land and they need to be rezoned, so you're not addressing the core issues. So what is the rationale to propose yet another systems-wide change?
The rationale is being responsive to municipal needs. Municipalities want to be able to grow, and they want the province to be able to respond. We had a meeting with big city mayors in the Premier's office in January of last year, and there was a chorus of voices that said, you need to make some changes at the provincial level as well. You need to be able to streamline your processes and deal with your fees. This bill provides both of those opportunities. It provides a streamlined planning document for Ontario, and it freezes 74 fees. So we've responded exactly to what those big city mayors told the Premier and I in January of 2021, or 2022, sorry.
Minister, it looks like you have new powers under this bill. Can you go over what you could or would do with those new powers?
Well, in terms of minister zoning orders, or
Yeah,
how are you?
how many new powers do you have? Just two new ones here?
Well, I'll talk about how about I talk about the MZO, because I think that's because downstream there's a reference to that as well in terms of site plan, and we have an ambitious agenda across all of my colleagues. One of the examples I'll give you is long-term care. Minister Calandra is going to build significant amount of long-term care. We've got to get shovels in the ground faster. If we need to have the availability, if I have one of my cabinet colleagues who is working on a priority and we need to have some assistance in getting shovels in the ground, albeit site plan, then it gives me the opportunity to work with my cabinet colleague on making sure that that provincial priority is realized. So that's the example I'll give to the powers piece.
So is there anything you can do that can kind of skip things in order to get shovels in the ground?
Well, some will say that an MZO will significantly cut through the process and provide that zoning certainty for a project. But it only provides zoning. So in terms of other enhanced powers that we use, for example, around transit communities, to be able to have those downstream opportunities where we can cut red tape, that's where that policy is embedded.
Why would you want to be able to exempt a subdivision plan, for example, from complying with provincial policies?
In terms
That's part of this MZO,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, so
as the minister, you can exempt it.
Well, again, we've heard from our municipal colleagues about that there are provincial policies that delay new housing construction coming online, and that's one of them. So that policy speaks directly to that piece.
Minister, if you truly want to protect renters, help.
We've been listening to Ontario's housing minister live at Queen's Park introducing new legislation, the Helping Homebuyers Protecting Tenants Act. If passed, these proposed changes would further strengthen homebuyers' protections, support tenants, and streamline the rules around land use planning.